Thanks for being here. I'll give you, in the next 6 minutes, a tour through a very crucial topic for Europe, and at the same time, somewhat of a mission impossible. That's what we are planning here. Blue Code, we're trying to be a mobile payment scheme. So what we're not trying to do is processing American payments. We're trying to be a Visa and a MasterCard. So you see, when you pay today in any of those stores, more likely than not, it's card-based and US-dominated rule books. In Europe, we want to create a rule book of how to pay with your mobile phone. I'll show you how that works in a store today that we have implemented this in Austria. You go into the store with your mobile phone, you put your stuff on the conveyor belt, the cashier asks you how you want to pay, and you show your banking app, you open it with a Touch ID or PIN, you show a blue code, a one-time use barcode. The cashier scans that code, and now we're going in real time to your checking account, and we're booking that money to then arrive back at the retailer. At the same time, while that scan happened, we downloaded your loyalty card, your coupons, and your vouchers into the cash register. So what happened here is full-on disruption. There is no more payment terminal. There is no Visa, there is no MasterCard, there is no Apple Pay, there is no Google Pay, there's none of these guys. We basically rewrote the rules from a technical and from a legal perspective to book straight on the checking account without any intermediaries. Now, what's a blue code? Again, a 20-digit number, that's the blue code. It lives only once for 4 minutes, and it enables one payment. It's very secure because when the bank works with us, we never receive a name or a bank account number. In our entire scheme, in our entire system, there is no personal information about the payer. Only the bank knows it. So we're basically writing a European rule book, and that means it's anonymous. It's nobody's business what you spend. It's thus very flexible because we have no personal data. We can scan this, we can Bluetooth this, we can NFC this token, we can use any transmission technology to trigger that real-time payment. And that makes it, of course, omni-channel and extremely powerful. Now again, why are we doing this? This is at the core of everything. Today, and for the last 30 years, a European bank gives you a Maestro card, MasterCard, to go and pay at a store. It worked really well for the last 30 years. I mean, it's a good system. But now, starting 2018 especially, because of regulation out of Brussels, the Payment Services Directive, this will happen. If we Europeans sleep, this is the future, meaning the US card is loaded into the US wallet. Apple Wallet, Facebook Wallet, PayPal Wallet, you name it. And that means the user journey is taken over. This is a very interactive, powerful device. So all the data along with it, the revenues will flow to the United States. What we're trying to say is we're 500 million Europeans. We need to have our own rule book of how to do this so the bank can issue blue codes in its own banking app and the user can pay in the store. And it's nobody's business and nobody should have data about that process. We started this 3 years in Austria. Within 18 months, we signed up 85% of all food retailers in the country. So when you land in Austria and you show a blue barcode on your phone, the cashier will instinctively do the right thing. She will scan that code, and in 200 milliseconds, this thing is paid. We then worked for 1 year with the largest European banking group, the German savings banks, to create that rule book. It took many lawyers, somewhat too many, but in the end, 6 weeks ago, they signed the agreement on the issuing side, acquiring side, and clearing and settlement. So now we have an anonymous European payment scheme that's transacting in real time. Now, this is the legal framework for somebody who's interested. The bank now only has to sign a 3-page license and adhere to the rules of our European rulebook, and then its users can go with any app and pay at a merchant, and the money is settled via clearing and settlement banks, also everything in Europe. The bank can market that solution, and that's what they do. So they market the solution in any way they can to their audience. And that, of course, makes for a highly scalable business. Because with the monthly growth rates we have now, of course, Scheme is a really neat business because you have a rule book and we shuffle around a few tokens and the rest is done by the banks to sell the solution to merchants and to end consumers. Now, what are the USPs in all this? The technology, again, is doing real-life payments in Austria and Germany today. Omni-channel on iPhone, on Android, in several tens of thousands of stores. This is probably the bigger one, though. We now have, took us a long time, but we now have this rule book of how to do non-cash payments in Europe with a mobile phone straight off the bank account. And we have the largest banking group signed on every side of that story, issuing and acquiring. And now we're in talks from Ireland to Bank of Greece with about 25 large banks to start implementing that solution in other countries. Because once they do, it starts to be interoperable all over Europe, and we have our own way of paying for our goods and services. Myself, I'm a startup entrepreneur. I lived in the US for 12 years and did 2 exits. So far I funded this myself with a few colleagues. But now we're here to look for substantial funding to really grow this all over Europe. And we have a few payment heavyweights in our team that know what payment is all about. So if there's one thing you should take away from this, we're not like many of the great companies here, unicorns, that process payments like the Stripes and Adyen's of the world. So we're not processing Visa, we're trying to be Visa. So that's the difference in trying to be the scheme behind mobile payments. Thanks much.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, for Blue Code.